the MCAT Cars Podcast, session number 65. The Cars section of the MCAT gives thousands of pre-meds nightmares every night. Whether you're an ESL student, lack confidence while reading, or a slow reader like me, Jack Weston and the medical school headquarters are here to help you score higher in every section so you can be confident you're ready to get the MCAT score of your dreams. Welcome to the MCAT Cars Podcast. My name is Dr. Ryan Gray, and as always on this podcast, I'm joined by Jack Weston from jackweston.com. If you haven't heard of Jack Weston yet, well, now you are in for a show because Jack Weston is the premier cars tutor, the premier MCAT cars tutor online. If you are looking for some cars help, you've come to the right place. This podcast is free for you every week. And if you are looking for some more in-depth, personalized help, go to jackweston.com. Check out his course. Check out everything that he has to offer, including the MCAT cars practice questions right to your email inbox every day. Let's go ahead and jump into our passage today with Jack Weston. Jack Weston back for some more MCAT Cars podcast. How are you doing this glorious day?
I'm doing well. Thanks a lot for asking. How are you?
I'm doing well. The year is starting off well. The students are flocking to their MCAT prep course material, hopefully flocking to jackweston.com to sign up for your cars passage of the day. So that's what I'm hoping for.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks a lot. I'm hoping that the passages help students. I get a lot of questions about how to use those passages. One a day is great when you're starting off. I recommend doing multiple in a day, but not necessarily every day. Doing one, doing 3 every other day is fine too. So just try to build your accuracy first, and then your endurance, and then ultimately your timing.
Yeah. All right. And it's funny, like if you're listening to this podcast really early on, just read and read and read and read and read and just become a very good reader, right? I was talking to a student recently. She's like, yeah, I took a half-length diagnostic and what'd you get? And usually the score is like 496-ish is very, very basic kind of where students are starting. She's like, oh, I got a 503. I'm like, wow. She's like, oh, I'm a big reader. I'm like, you'll be good then.
Yeah, it is a reading test, unfortunately.
Yeah,
or fortunately, right? So the more comfortable you are reading, the better. I mean, it's grueling. Imagine sitting there for 6-7 hours reading on a computer screen.
No, thank you.
So you have to really get good at sitting there and focusing for a long period of time. And reading a lot is helpful. And hopefully this podcast will help you and challenge you to read properly.
Exactly. All right. So what do we have in store today?
A very interesting article that I think everyone will kind of appreciate and understand. So that's really it.
Alrighty. I like it. All right. First paragraph. Long ago, I was captivated by a seductively intuitive idea, one many of my wealthy friends still subscribe to, that both poverty and rising inequality are largely consequences of America's failing education system. All right. So our author here apparently has wealthy friends. I need some of those friends. And the author here is basically saying our poverty and inequality are due to our education system, our failing education system.
There's a connection there, right?
Yep.
So yeah. Okay.
Fix that, I believed, and we could cure much of what ails America. All right. So the author thinks that fixing our education system could fix our country.
Yeah, sounds good. And in what way though? Rising what? Inequality.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
and poverty.
We don't know exactly what that means, but obviously some have it, some don't, right?
Yep. Okay. Next paragraph. This belief system, which I have come to think of as educationism, is grounded in a familiar story about cause and effect. Once upon a time, America created a public education system that was the envy of the modern world. All right. So educationism, this kind of coined term here, cause and effect. I'm really not sure. Like, it's grounded in this familiar story that we created an education system that was the envy of the modern world. So I'm not really seeing much here. Hopefully, if I keep reading, it'll explain more.
Right. The cause and effect has not been cleared up yet.
Yeah.
But we do know that America had a great educational system, or at least, had one for a while.
Had one, yes.
Yeah.
All right. Next sentence. No nation produced more or better educated high school and college graduates, and thus the great American middle class was built. All right. So maybe that's the cause and effect, right? Cause is we had a great public education system. Effect was we had the great American middle class.
That's it. Yeah, that's the cause and effect. So if you have a good education, you have a good middle class.
All right. But then sometime around the 1970s, America lost its way. All right. So pointing to a change from that and a time period of when that happened. We allowed our schools to crumble and our test scores and graduation rates to fall. All right. So we don't really know what caused this to crumble, but the author is pointing out that we allowed this somehow.
I love how you brought that up. A lot of times the author will say why this is happening to give us the reason. And that's just as important as knowing what the author thinks.
Yeah.
This is not necessarily a fact. This is how the author perceives the American education system.
Yep.
So, we all, based on your experience, may think the same way, but you got to remember that this is still an argument. It's an idea.
Yeah. Okay. School systems that once churned out well-paid factory workers failed to keep pace with the rising educational demands of the new knowledge economy. All right, so the author here pointing to a shift in what was needed, right? Well-paid factory workers to this knowledge economy and the demands of that. As America's public school systems foundered, yeah, okay. So did the earning power of the American middle class. Shouldn't that say floundered? Anyway, so the public school systems decreased, I guess, foundered. I don't know what that means, but so did the earning power of the American middle class. So that I'm just comparing it because I don't really know what that sentence is telling me. Comparing it to the American middle class is going away, and so the American public school system is not doing well. The earning power of the middle class isn't doing well.
Yeah, founder could also mean sinking, basically. So sinking or failing, something along those lines.
Okay.
But yeah, it's a weird weird word. You usually don't see that, but you'd still know what's going on. You still know that the education system is suffering. So shouldn't be anything new to you.
Yep.
And you should know the cause and effect, right? Education goes down, so does
earning
compensation,
power. Yep.
Right? Yeah, earning power. Okay.
And as inequality increased, so did political polarization, cynicism, and anger, threatening to undermine American democracy itself. I thought that was just Facebook. Now it's blaming our school system? Oh, man. Anyway, sorry. So the author here pointing out that because of, right, more cause and effect, right? The public school system's not doing well, inequality's increasing, we have political polarization undermining democracy.
Right. And I do want to make the point here that inequality is another way of saying lack of money.
Yeah.
Okay. That wasn't clear until this paragraph, really. So the author is making a connection, an association with inequality and limited funds, essentially, or limited earning potential.
Okay. All right. So nice little story here so far. Taken with this storyline, I embraced education as both a philanthropic cause and a civic mission. All right. So the author here obviously trying to change things with a philanthropy. I co-founded the League of Education Voters, a nonprofit dedicated to improving public education. So just a little project they started. I joined Bill Gates, Alice Walton, and Paul Allen in giving more than $1 million each to an effort to pass a ballot measure that established Washington State's first charter schools. All right, so our author here obviously has $1 million, which is nice to give. and trying to create charter schools. So this seems a little bit older.
I mean, it's a nice guy, right? Or
Yeah.
girl, whoever it is. But yeah, so they're trying to solve this problem, this cause and effect,
Yep.
right? So, trying to solve the whole issue with more money. Hopefully the money situation will help the education and make things better here.
Yeah. All told, I have devoted countless hours and millions of dollars to the simple idea that if we improved our schools, if we modernized our curricula and our teaching methods, substantially increased school funding, rooted out bad teachers, and opened enough charter schools, American children, especially those in low income and working class communities, would start learning again. All right, so that was the hypothesis, right? We're going to create better schools, and it's going to help students learn better, learn more.
Sounds good.
Graduation rates and wages would increase, poverty and inequality would decrease, and public commitment to democracy would be restored. All great ideas. All right. So, yeah, charter schools for the win, apparently. We'll see if it works.
So far, very straightforward article.
Yeah.
Right. Basically, education is causing, issues everywhere else. Let's fix education. That should solve our issues, especially with inequality.
Okay. Next paragraph. It's a short little one here. But after decades of organizing and giving, I've come to the uncomfortable conclusion that I was wrong. Ooh, okay. And I hate being wrong. Me too. All right. So the author here setting up this whole hypothesis. We're going to donate lots of money, create charter schools, decrease inequality. And then that apparently didn't work. And hopefully we'll find out why.
Okay.
Next paragraph. What I've realized decades late is that educationism, going back to the word that was coined earlier, is tragically misguided. So the author here, just to remind the listener what educationism is, grounded in the familiar cause and effect, right? That the education system was what led to this middle class, maybe. That cause and effect. All right. So maybe the author is saying here that maybe the education system and the middle class weren't as tied together as they thought it was.
Right.
American workers are struggling in large part because they are underpaid. And they are underpaid because 40 years of trickle-down policies have rigged the economy in favor of wealthy people like me. All right. I like when rich people blame themselves. This is good.
That's when you know they're a little too rich.
I know. Be like, I have too much money. You can take a little bit of it now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So the author here potentially giving another reason why they think maybe things aren't working. Americans are more highly educated than ever before, but despite that, and despite nearly record low unemployment, most American workers at all levels of educational attainment have seen little, if any, wage growth since 2000. All right, so just pointing out that the trickle-down policies, right, of give money to the rich and they will give it to everyone else isn't working.
Right.
All right. No.
That's good. So as long as you know that the author has now decided education and inequality are not necessarily connected, at least not directly, right? This cause and effect, you're going to be fine. If you didn't read the whole passage, let's just say you read the first 3 paragraphs.
Yeah.
Do you think you're going to do well on this passage, on the questions?
Heck no.
No, you can't just read the first paragraph or the last paragraph. You have to read the whole thing.
Yep.
The whole thing will explain everything you need to know, and that's that will get you a good score. For the science sections, you could get away with reading the questions and not really reading the passage, but for cars that doesn't work. You have to read the passage if you want to do well on the questions.
Okay. All right, last paragraph. To be clear, we should do everything we can to improve our public schools. So again, just pretty obvious statement here, right? We want good school systems. But our education system can't compensate for the ways our economic system is failing Americans. So pretty straightforward statement, right? Our economic system is failing, not our education system per se. Even the most thoughtful and well-intentioned school reform program can't improve educational outcomes if it ignores the single greatest driver of student achievement, household income. All right, so there's the tie-in potentially with education, right? At the very end, the author is saying the greatest driver of student achievement is household income. So if a student is coming from a household income that's at the poverty line or whatever, then the student's not going to do well. And it's not the school itself, it's income.
Right. So what is the main idea of this passage? What should you really know?
That to fix our schools, we need to fix our economy, our economic systems. Maybe.
Is that the idea? Is fixing schools going to fix the economic system?
No.
Here?
No, fixing schools won't fix them, but maybe the other way around. Fixing our economy might fix the outcomes and inequalities.
Yes. So the point, though, is that education is not to really blame, right? You can't blame education for these inequalities. These inequalities, I mean, they mention this in only one paragraph, but you should still know it, can come from the fact that they're just not being paid more, right? They're trained, they're capable, but they're just not being trained. They're not being paid well, what they're deserved. So that's the point that you really need to know is education is not necessarily the root of the problem here.
Yeah. Ooh.
And it's kind of funny because the author's saying, oh, look, our education system sucks. And then later it goes, wait, actually, they're really well trained.
Actually, no, it's our policies. Yeah. Okay. It's our policies and rich people like me that are taking all the money and not giving it to everybody else.
Yeah.
I like it. All right. So pretty straightforward. But a good example, as you mentioned, right? You really need to make sure you're reading it all to hit all of the thoughts and ideas, because there was a curveball in the middle that we potentially would have missed.
Yeah, expect the unexpected, right? Like you never know what's going to come up. You never know. Maybe the author changes their mind, or maybe they just said it so that they can establish a picture for what the author doesn't agree with, right?
Yeah.
Until you read the whole thing, you won't know.
Yeah. So in other words, Jack, what you're saying is read a Cars passage like you would go through a haunted house. Always expect something around the corner.
I always bring up that analogy. Yeah.
Do you really?
Yeah. Another one I use is imagine you're walking into a dark room where there's glass all over the floor and you don't know where the glass is, but you're walking barefoot. Right. Just be cautious and tread, slowly.
You're walking barefoot like what's his name? What's Bruce Willis's character? John McClane in Die Hard. Poor guy. I felt so bad for his feet in that movie.
Yeah.
It's a very good Christmas movie though.
Yeah, I love that movie.
All right, so there you have it. Another great episode for you. Again, if you're looking for some more help with your MCAT cars, which again will help with every section of the MCAT, go to jackweston.com. Check out his free daily passages, right? For free in your email inbox every day, you will get a link to another passage. The more practice that you do, the better you will get at answering these questions. Did I mention they're free? jackweston.com. Click on practice, MCAT cars practice, put in your email address. You will get these passages for free. Yeah, free every day. Hope you have a great week. We'll see you next time here on the MCAT Cars Podcast.
This is MedEd Media.